Constitution provides that every accused person has the right to be presumed innocent until the contrary is proved. Therefore, it will have been premature for the committee to adjudge the nominees guilty of any undisclosed offenses. Therefore, the nominations to Honorable Speaker met the threshold of the two-third gender principle and regional balance in line with Article 27(3) and 231(1)(h) of the Constitution. 25 out of 26 nominees who presented their academic and professional credentials and made oral submissions during the approval hearings demonstrated their suitability for appointment in accordance with provisions of Section 67(7) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Act, Cap 7. Pursuant to Article 2321(g) of the Constitution, read with Section 7(c) of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approvals Act, 7(f), the committee is required to consider the suitability of the nominees for the proposed appointment having regard to the values and principles of public service, particularly meritocracy as the basis of appointment. The nominee for Counsel General, Goma, and this is where I want honorable members to really listen to me. The nominee for Counsel General Goma, DRC, Mr. Charles Githinji Keiru, demonstrated a glaring lack of knowledge on the position of Counsel General and the station to which he was nominated to serve. As such, the nominee does not possess the requisite abilities, qualities, knowledge, and experience thus unsuitable for appointment as Counsel General to Goma, DRC. Honorable members, I want to beg that I enumerate and demonstrate to this House why Congo is an extremely important station. Kenya's role as an anchor state and guarantor of regional peace and security continues to inform the country's indispensable role in fortifying the regional peace and security architecture. Likewise, the country's foreign policy remains a key cog in the advancement of purposeful regional integration and peaceful coexistence, both central to Kenya's socioeconomic growth development agenda. To this end, Honorable Speaker, the continual promotion, protection, and projection of Kenya's interests regionally and globally has to remain in line with the object and purpose of the country's aspiration, and further calls for a diplomatic workforce that is nimble, fit for purpose, and that is alive to regional geostrategic circumstances. The significance of Congo. Kenya sits on the confluence of the three important regions of Africa. That is the East African region, the Horn of Africa, the Great Lakes region. Kenya's peace and prosperity, and therefore the country's economic and political ambitions are inextricably tied to a peaceful and secure region. In this respect, Honorable Speaker, Kenya remains proud of the fact that the DRC is a member of the East African community. It offers us hope that the resulting trade and investment will improve the lives of the East Africans. We have also used the occasion to integration to pursue long-desired stabilization of the Eastern DRC through the efforts of the East African-led regional force, rather called ECRAF. Accordingly, the importance of centrality of the Kenya's consulate in the city of Goma, Eastern DRC, in the promotion of the friendly relations, as well as advancing Kenya's economic, commercial trade, as well as security interests, cannot be overemphasized, Honorable Speaker. I will try and summarize. Clear, nuanced, and sophisticated understating of the regional peace and security architecture of the Great Lakes regions, as well as thoughtful and vital appreciation of key factors that inform Kenya's economic diplomacy tenets are key components expected of Kenya's democratic agent to Goma. The Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations of the National Assembly regrets that the nominee for the post of Consul General to the Kenya's consulate in Goma has failed to demonstrate the comprehensive range of technical, academic, and professional skills that will be vital in anchoring Kenya's economic, commercial, trade, and security interests in the DRC. Furthermore, given the tenets of diplomatic signaling that inherent in foreign relations between states and desirous in maintaining friendly and cordial relations with countries of the region, deploying the aforementioned nominee to Goma will be detrimental to both the strategic and long-term interests in the region. Honorable Speaker, I will try and summarize. Let me go to the case of Ambassador Moi Lamoshira, nominee to Tokyo, Japan, for instance. Ambassador Moi Lamoshira is a career diplomat and has been in the diplomatic realm. His being in the diplomatic realm reflects a wealth of experience and leadership across various diplomatic missions and within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. His tenure as Kenya's ambassador to Algeria, Mali, as well as his leadership roles in diplomatic missions in Addis Ababa, Dublin, Bangkok, and Kuala Lumpur, underscores his proficiency in representing Kenya's interests on the global stage and fostering international relations. His extensive diplomatic portfolio positions him as a seasoned diplomat with expertise and leadership qualities to navigate the complex international landscape and promote Kenya's diplomatic interests effectively. I will also refer to the case of Ms. Gertrude Nyeusi Angote, our nominee as a permanent representative to UNEP. This nominee, Honorable Speaker, was one of the best of those that we vetted. Ms. Gertrude Angote's career trajectory reflects a distinguished path characterized by a wealth of experience and expertise in environmental law and climate justice. As an award-winning senior legal and environmental law advisor, she has demonstrated exceptional proficiency in various domains, including research and innovation and policy and governance. Her roles as a program director and public interest litigator in Kituo cha Sheria, she worked with one of our honorable members, Honorable Emilio Diambo, underscores her commitment to advancing environmental justice both nationally and internationally. With her extensive background on qualification, I have seen my time is up. I will summarize as such, Honorable Speaker. We must attach a lot of significance to the people that we send to the missions. You will, many of you, if you watched the US ambassador to Kenya, Ambassador Meg Whitman, during, if you give me one more minute, Honorable Speaker, during our pitch in the Silicon Valley, when the president had visited the United States, you will understand why you need someone of that stature as an ambassador. That person is the face of the country. That is the face of the president of the country. What they speak, how they attract investment to a country is extremely important. And as such, we need people that will not only market Kenya as a destination, but are able to articulate Kenya's interests abroad and become the real face of the Kenyan people and the missions that they are representing. Honorable Speaker, I will have had many to say, but allow me to end it there by summarizing that the committee then resolved that henceforth Council Generals should undergo the vetting. I've mentioned that. Honorable Speaker, I will end it there, and I beg to move and urge the House to adopt this report. I now request Honorable Major Retired Sheikh Abdullahi Bashir, my Vice Chairperson, to second the motion.
Yes, where's the Vice Chair? Bashir, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to second the motion that this House approves the appointment of the 25 out of the 27 persons nominated for appointment as High Commissioners, Ambassadors, Permanent Secretaries, and Consul Generals, and equally resolves to reject the nomination of the nominee for DRC Congo. Honorable Speaker, the Office of the High Commissioners and Ambassadors, Permanent Representatives, or Consul General is an office under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs. Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. Honorable Speaker, during the approval hearings, the committee paid due regard to the procedures used to arrive at the nominees. The constitutional or statutory requirements relating to the offices and suitability of the nominees for appointment proposed having regard to whether the nominees' abilities, experience, and qualities meet the needs of the country's foreign service. Honorable Speaker, upon conclusion of the approval hearings, the committee scrutinized the personal, academic, and career background of 5 out of the 26 that appeared before us, who presented their academic and professional credentials and made oral submissions during the approval hearings, demonstrated their stability for appointment in accordance with the provisions of Section 6(7) of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approvals Act, Cap 7F. Honorable Speaker, quite a number of them, and if I may just pick a few of them, who appeared before the committee and performed exceptionally. One of them is Lieutenant General Jonah Mwangi, who was actually a former Vice Chief of Defense Forces for the Kenya Defense Forces. Lieutenant General Mwangi actually served over 40 years in the Kenya Defense Forces and has demonstrated that he's an officer with capacity and capabilities to be able to serve in such a station where he's posted, which is Iran. Another nominee is Ms. Caroline Kamende Daudi, the nominee for Ottawa, Canada. This lady is a seasoned litigation advocate, well experienced, and actually demonstrated capacity and skills during the vetting. And that shows that she's capable to serve in Kenya and represent the country in Ottawa, Canada. Another nominee is Lieutenant General Peter Mbogo, who was the immediate former Army Commander of the Kenya Defense Forces, a seasoned officer. And these two officers generally, the Lieutenant General Mbogo and Lieutenant General Mwangi, are officers that I have served with personally while I served in the military some years back. And I can vouch for their character and their discipline, and of course, their background and their additional experiences. Honorable Speaker, another nominee that actually performed exceptionally well is Adan Mohammed, nominee as the Consul General in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. During the hearing, this nominee responded to questions posed by the committee with clarity. He has served in various missions within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and has capacity to do and to join the diplomatic corps at that kind of a level. He goes to Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, and I'm sure this is the first time that we have a Consul General in Jeddah, and this is a good step so that he can serve the Kenyans going to Jeddah and Saudi Arabia. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of the nominee that the committee has rejected, it is good to note that the nominee for DRC Congo actually did not demonstrate that he has the capacity, the skills, and the competence to serve in DRC. Remember, DRC is a complex country, and that it requires somebody with a lot of capacity, somebody with a lot of educational background, somebody with a lot of experience and skills. It's unfortunate that the nominee did not actually meet the cut. Honorable Speaker, I wish to assure the House and the country that we have the right individuals to steer our foreign policy in the respective stations. We therefore recommend that the National Assembly approves the appointment of the 25 persons to serve as High Commissioners, ambassadors, permanent representatives, and consul generals in the respective stations, and rejects the nominee of Mr. Charles Githinji Kairu as Consul General for Goma in DRC. We further recommend that the House resolves that henceforth Consul Generals should undergo vetting and their nomination by the authority, and that the appointing authority recalls the current serving Consul Generals not vetted for vetting and approval by the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, I wish to second the motion and urge the House to adopt this report and agree with the committee. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I second.
Order, honorable members, take your seats. Order, take your seats. Daoud. Thank you. Honorable members, I now propose the question at order 8, which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Defense Intelligence and Foreign Relations in its report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment as High Commissioners, Ambassadors, Permanent Representatives, and Consuls General laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 16th April 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 132(2)(e) of the Constitution, Section 22 of the Foreign Service Act 2021, and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House, 1, approves the appointment of the following persons as High Commissioners. 1, Catherine Kirumba Karemu, London, United Kingdom. Honorable Joash Adha Maangi, Kampala, Uganda. Honorable Lilian Tomitom, Lusaka, Zambia. Ms. Caroline Kamende Daoud, Ottawa, Canada. Lieutenant General Peter Mbogo Njiru, Islamabad, Pakistan. Ambassadors, Honorable Frederick Otieno Outa, Cairo, Egypt. Professor Anne Kisaka Nangulu, Dakar, Senegal. Mr. Timothy Kaluma Mcharo, Algiers, Algeria. Honorable Christopher Andrew Langat, Abidjan, Ivory Coast. Ms. Jessica Mudhoni Gakinya, Rabat, Morocco. Honorable Halima Yusuf Mucheke, The Hague, Netherlands. Mr. David Kiplagat Kerich, Washington, D.C., USA. Ms. Evelyn Mwenda Karisa, Havana, Cuba. Dr. Peter Mutuku Mathuki, Moscow, Russia. Ambassador Moi Lemoshira, Tokyo, Japan. Mr. Kenneth Milimo Nganga, Abu Dhabi, UAE. Lieutenant General John Mwangi, Tehran, Iran. Mr. Abdi Aden Korio, Muscat, Oman. Permanent representatives. Ms. Gertrude N. Angote, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. Ms. Permanent Rep, Geneva. Mr. Ekitela Erastus Locale, United Nations, New York. Consuls General, Mr. Ezra Chiloba, Los Angeles, USA. Mr. Aden Mohammed, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Mr. David Iboko Lokemer, Dubai, UAE. Rejects the appointment of Mr. Charles Gidinji Keiru as Consul General, Goma, Democratic Republic of Congo, and resolves that henceforth Consul Generals should undergo vetting after nomination by the appointing authority as required by the Constitution, and that the appointing authority recalls any Consul General who is serving without requisite approval by the National Assembly to undergo the necessary approval process. Yes, Kainan. Honorable members, I want us to agree. I had said I wanted us to take about 30 minutes on this so that we go back to order number 7. So if you allow me, can I give 2-2? Then we put the question. Is that okay? Okay, Kainan. Okay, 3-3. Then I'll put the question. Kainan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is the interface between Kenya and the outside world. But Mr. Speaker, before I make my informed contribution on this, let me invoke the provision of the standing order and declare that 2 of the nominees, Ms. Anne Nangulu was my lecturer at Mo University, a very able young lady, highly intelligent, and I'm glad that the President has nominated her in order to utilize her expertise in history and governance. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I want to also go on record that Ms. Caroline Kamene is actually my advocate on record. And I want to thank the President for nominating her as our High Commissioner nominee to Canada. Mr. Speaker, having said this, the history of diplomatic engagements started in 1948 with Westphalia Peace Treaty between the Emperor of Rome, the King of France, and the Allies, Mr. Speaker. And that again later on led to the Vienna Convention of 1960 again, Mr. Speaker, which provided for the framework of the modern diplomatic engagement, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having said this, I want to also appreciate the role played by the Nusu Mukate government between 2007 and 2013. For the first time, Mr. Speaker, the pillars, the tenets of our diplomatic engagement, Mr. Speaker, were written and made as part of our written foreign policy, Mr. Speaker, because before then, our foreign policy was just at the whims of the president, the members of the executive, Mr. Speaker, and I really want to appreciate the role you have played at that particular time, and appreciate today the tenets of our foreign policy are written. Mr. Speaker, having said this, our diplomatic engagement over the years has metamorphosed, Mr. Speaker, taking into account our unique regional, international, global interests, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, that is the essence of diplomatic engagement. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the President for nominating individuals both from the career diplomats and political appointees, Mr. Speaker, because that blend is what is going to project, promote, and protect our image, Mr. Speaker, in international forum, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, over the years, the emphasis of our diplomatic engagement has been political diplomacy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, things have changed totally. Today, the emphasis should be economic diplomacy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this premier nation called Kenya, Mr. Speaker, prides itself as not only a peace hub, Mr. Speaker, but also as a security hub, as an infrastructural hub, as a conferencing hub, Mr. Speaker, and as a critical economic hub, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we nominate, as we approve the appointments of these key individuals, Mr. Speaker, one thing that should inform as a basic requirement of the job description, Mr. Speaker, is the enhancement of our economic engagement with the international community. And that should be the basis of their everyday job description, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the old days, during the communist and the capitalist time, we will be required to report on political espionage, on idealism. Those things are gone. What we require is to flourish and ensure that the GDP of this country expands and grows because of our diplomatic engagement. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the members of the committee. They have sifted through. I've seen individuals who are rejected, and I entirely agree with the committee. The first thing that should have formed the basis of the nomination of these individuals, Mr. Speaker, is their expertise and knowledge, not only professional knowledge, Mr. Speaker, but educational requirement of this particular job description, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I want to thank the committee led by the chairman and the vice chair and other members for this well-informed decision, and I want to believe with the House to agree with them. Mr. Speaker, once upon a time, this country, which is a collection of many nation states, embodied the thinking, the aspirations of the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, today where we are, in this era of globalization, in this era of global competition, Mr. Speaker, this country has been reduced to just one of the struggling nations. Mr. Speaker, there is a saying in my mother tongue, if you don't solve a problem as a leader, there comes a time when the problem becomes the leader, and you as a leader, you become the problem, Mr. Speaker. And that has been one thing that has affected this nation. It is the high time that we agree with the president that we need to make tough decisions that will catapult us to the next stage in joining the League of Developed Nations, Mr. Speaker. That can only come if we have well-informed, highly educated, and well-seasoned diplomats. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, what I want to say is this. This is a very difficult job for those who have been given this job, because once you are approved today, I want to urge them wherever they are, remain committed to the upliftment, the economic, social, political, image upliftment of the people of Kenya, and that is well to carry us to the next stage. I wish to support this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the committee's report and all its recommendations, Honorable Speaker, including the requirement, Honorable Speaker, or the resolution that all consul generals who had been posted to stations without appropriate vetting in accordance with our constitution and our laws be recalled by the appointing authority, Honorable Speaker, so that they are vetted. And Honorable Speaker, any one of those consul generals who shall not heed to the call to come back and be vetted, then has no business serving the people of Kenya in whatever station they were posted to, Honorable Speaker. Because we must re-emphasize the role and the importance of vetting candidates who are nominated or appointed to positions that the Constitution requires them to be vetted. And Honorable Speaker, I also support the rejection. Honorable Speaker, if you can protect me from the loud consultations.
Order, Karemba and your group. That Kamkunji is unlawful.
And Honorable Speaker, there is a lot of lobbying.
Yes.
And lobbying is okay because it is allowed in all parliaments. But lobbying, Honorable Speaker, there is a way it is done. And I also know, Honorable Speaker, there are groups of businessmen who have been lobbying members to reverse the recommendations of this committee. Honorable Speaker, I'm talking about this lobbying, Honorable Speaker, because the businessmen who have been lobbying members had no opportunity, like the Committee of Foreign Relations, to interrogate each of these candidates. And I know they have been lobbying people on the basis of their ethnicities, on the basis of where they come from, and even at times enticing members with the incentives. Honorable Speaker, this would be the most shameful thing that we can do as a house, to allow ourselves to be lobbied. Honorable Speaker, I have no liberty to name any names, Honorable Speaker, because I am a responsible leader. But I must protect the dignity of this house as a leader in this house. We must not, as a house, allow ourselves to be lobbied by busybodies of businessmen and women out there to reject a report by a committee of this house after they have done a lot of work to vet all the nominees, Honorable Speaker, including those who had issues with EACC, and members who have bothered to read the committee's report will see some of the issues that were raised and how the committee addressed them. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, when the committee resolves to reject a nominee on the basis of that nominee's competence to the position that they have been nominated to, Honorable Speaker, we must give respect to this committee and its members who are honorable members, that they have done their work, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we were all watching on TV, and that is why, Honorable Speaker, I must thank you and the Parliamentary Service Commission for making it possible for all these vetting processes to be broadcast live on TV, so that Kenyans can vindicate this house when we reject a nominee. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say, I support even the rejection of Charles Githinji Keiru as Consul General for Goma. Goma, Honorable Speaker, is not a small station, and you've been Minister for Foreign Affairs, you know. Goma is a very important station in our region and in the East African community, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, the person that we send to represent the people of Kenya and personally represent His Excellency the President must be somebody whose competence is not questionable. Must be somebody that we have confidence in as a house, that he represents the people of Kenya and the best among us, the people of Kenya. And I want to support, Honorable Speaker, the committee's report in the rejection of the Honorable the Charles Githinji Keiru and the recall of all other consul generals who in the last regime were posted to stations without going through vetting, because our laws, our constitution requires that this house vets even consul generals. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I support the committee's report in its totality to pass those that the committee has agreed that we pass and to reject those that have been proposed for rejection, and to also support those who are being recalled as recommended by the committee, because we will just be emphasizing
Women Rep Busia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the first time the hustler government has rejected its own hustler. The description or definition of a hustler is in Charles Gidinji. Even if he couldn't define a GDP, you empower because that was your vision. Take him to Goma, wherever you are taking him to, and give him scholarship as well, so that he can represent the hustler government. How can you tell me that he just reached Form 4 or has limited qualifications? That is the hustler, and that is the definition I understand from where I stand. So I support, and allow me to ask the majority leader not to be so. This young man that I watched, he has a will, and the adage prevails: where there is a will, there is a way. Don't put impediments. So this Charles Gidinji man, I don't know where he comes from, what he has done, but I just know that he did not define some things, but he was smart and had audacity to go there and sit and face these very learned people, and also did not even, he was not in a hurry. So that is the hustler that President Ruto promised. So carry your burden. We are here. We want to support you. Thank you. Hustler.
Leah Sangaire, or is it, no, that's not Leah, Pauline. Sorry, Pauline Lengriz.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to add my points on the motion on the floor. Let me take this opportunity first to thank the President for appointing many Kenyans to various positions and to work in different countries. Let me, Mr. Speaker, also thank the committee for the good work they have done, and also for the thorough investigations they have done to ensure that the people who are nominated to the countries who represent this country well and are equal to the task. I want to say that to register my support to the report of the committee. However, Mr. Speaker, I have some concerns. And I want Mr. Speaker to protect me because there's a lot of noise coming. I don't know whether you're able to hear me.
Order, honorable members, order.
Mr. Speaker, as much as I support the report, I have some few concerns. And my concern, Mr. Speaker, is so genuine. Since we came into this house, Mr. Speaker, in August last year, we have been passing and supporting candidates who have been appointed to various countries. Mr. Speaker, as much as we belong to the larger Maa community, we have never sat in this house, and my colleagues could agree with me that there is not any single day that we have seen a Samburu woman or a man who has been forwarded names to be feted in this house. I don't know why the top leadership of this country has never seen potential in giving opportunities to people from Samburu County. So I want Mr. Speaker to make a honest request, and I hope the President is looking at me now, that the two names, woman and one to a Samburu man, because we have never feted any person from my community, and we are equal to Kenyans. We want to see the face of Kenya in all the appointments done by the government. So a kind request to the government and the appointing authority that we also have competent men and women who can serve in those positions. So kindly give us the two positions that have been rejected in this house today. Give to the Samburu, a Samburu man and a Samburu woman. We have competent people who have gone to school and they can serve this country well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senior Counsel Molo, Otienda Molo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues who have congratulated the committee because I think they did their work speedily, they did it openly, and they have made recommendations which are reasonable.
Order, Honorable Member for Kahawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ruaraka,
I actually support their recommendations in terms of the names that they've approved, and in terms of the name they have recommended not to be approved. Mr. Speaker, I have no specific issue with any of the recommendees. I know there are some, like Fred Outa, with whom we served in, in politics and was rejected as a CS. We have people like Caroline Kamende, who recently ran for president of LSK and was not so lucky. We have Ezra Chiloba, with whom we had a run-in when he was managing politics. And we have others like Josh Mangi, with whom we went to the Maranda National School. Now, but having said that, Mr. Speaker, I think the point made by the chair is crucial. Diplomatic appointments are very important because they are the face of Kenyans out there. Most times, people have not known who we are. And the person we post there reflects who then we are. So when we reject a person, it's more serious than even just appointing someone to serve within the country. I know as a house, we've even approved people who've not gone beyond class 8 to be cabinet secretaries. But those are our local mistakes. Let us not export our mistakes out there. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it is also important that we ensure that there's consultation. We ensure that this thing is thorough. So while I support it, I have three concerns, Mr. Speaker, in terms of Article 232, and the report is silent on it. First, Article 232 requires that there's the face of Kenya in all these public appointments. In this entire report, it does not capture for any of the nominees their ethnic or regional, extraction. And I think it's purposeful so that it hides the imbalance in the entire list. If you look at the list as it is now and add to the earlier list of appointees, you'll find there's a serious ethnic imbalance. I am happy that where I come from, there appears to be, I only know one, but by name there appears to be 2 out of 25, which comes to 8%. Going by the tradition of this regime, that is actually an improvement. But it should not be so. It should actually be much more balanced than that. Mr. Speaker, secondly, in terms of Article 232, it requires that there's transparency, competition, and merit in all appointments. In this process, we know that we received the names from the president, but nothing stopped the president from opening these things to competition. The committee should have captured that in order to get more meritorious Kenyans, and not just those that they will reject, this thing should be open to competition. And thirdly, prior consultation. The fact that someone can be nominated and brought to this house by the president and they reject, it means there was no prior consultation at all. That is not a good show in a country like ours. That brings me to my last point, Mr. Speaker, and that is the last recommendation, where they are asking us to resolve that all nominees will undergo vetting. And secondly, that all those who had been posted without vetting be recalled. Mr. Speaker, we do not need that first part of the resolution. That is the Constitution. The Constitution is clear that anyone will be nominated, brought to Parliament. So we do not need to repeat what's in the Constitution. But on the second one, we need to be careful. Our power is to vet those to be appointed. Once you are appointed and you have that substantive office, I know of no provision of the Constitution that gives us power to look at you. Their option is to have the president cancel those appointments and then we can appoint others. We don't have power to vet those already appointed. I support generally the report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Turkana, is that Akuja? Emadhe, go ahead. Give him the mic.
Thank you, Speaker. I stand in support of the report, and I also need to underscore the fact that we have competent individuals, we have competent Kenyans who have been chosen to go and represent the face of Kenya in the world and outside there. Honorable Speaker, I say so because when we are given an opportunity, we must export the best of our minds. And Honorable Speaker, I want also to underscore the fact that we have been given an opportunity to implement Article 232, as alluded, and that by fact, I want to say that Turkana Nation is one of the most lucky this time round in the list. There are two individuals, one is going to Dubai, and the other one is going to be our permanent representative in New York. Honorable Speaker, these two individuals have demonstrated a lot of good education background, and I have one of the best experiences outside there, Honorable Speaker, and I want to thank the nominees for standing out in the vetting process. And much appreciation as the Turkana Nation goes to His Excellency the President for the good gesture to the Turkana Nation. And for me, I will want to urge our people outside there in Turkana, this time round, we should all rally behind the president, and as we look forward, we want to stand together with him. That is the message I want to send out there, because this is the first time we are being acknowledged as a people in this country. Honorable Speaker, I want to support the report and I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. I promised three. I've given three this side.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I'll be very. And let me thank the committee led by the Chair Nelson Koech for a good work. And like the earlier speakers did indicate, this is the face of Kenya. And therefore, the people we appoint to those offices is very important that they have high skills and quality to represent Kenya in the absence of any other person, including the president. In fact, more than often, they actually represent the presidency and Kenya in totality. Honorable Speaker, I want also to hail the committee for having observed that there were the consul generals who were actually appointed without being vetted by Parliament. And therefore the need to either recall them or cancel the appointment so that they go through the processes, like Senior Counsel Chenda Molo has indicated that ordinarily that is the constitution, and therefore they have to go through the vetting by Parliament. Honorable Speaker, without attending to any one particular one, let me point out one nominee whom I want to thank the President for having picked out to nominate. And I'm happy that the committee did report that this was one of the best that they interviewed, and this was none other than Gertrude Angote, who is a renowned lawyer of great repute and a professional. And also Angote, Honorable Speaker, is an award-winning lawyer on environmental law and advisory. Angote has wealth of experience and expertise in environmental law and climatic justice. And this singled out as a clean accuracy appointment and nominee by the presidency of a person who highly qualified. Lastly, because time's up, I also want to thank the president for having nominated a former teacher and also unionist from Bungoma by the name of Kenneth Mirimo, who has served as a executive secretary of KNUT and a teacher before this nomination. Thank you, and Honorable Speaker.
I'll now put the question that the mover be called upon to reply. As many as with that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Coach.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much to the contribution by honorable members. I've listened very keenly to what honorable members have said, and I will just want to enumerate further on what Honorable Catherine has said of the meaning of a hustler. You will realize that in that list also, a hustler has so many definitions. There's a hustler in terms of business, there's a hustler who is equally educated and does not have an opportunity to represent our country. I will mention, for instance, that Professor Honorable Langat, the former Senator Bomet, started as a primary school teacher. Right now, he is a professor. That is a hustler that we are talking about. I also want to concur with what Honorable Otienda Omolo has said in regards to the Constitution and Article 132 of the Constitution, that all, 132, that all the Council Generals, in regards to the appointment of the Council Generals, that it is constitutional. You do not even have to mention, so that all the Council Generals that have gone before and are never vetted, we should accept that was a mistake. In finalizing, Honorable, in concluding, Honorable Speaker, let me say this, that I really want to thank honorable members of my committee for the work that they put in this report. When the rest of the House were on their recess, honorable members of the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee painstakingly was looking through all the list of the members and nominees that had been brought before us. I really want to thank them for taking their time to do this noble job. On issues of the face of the country, I want to thank honorable members that have said our ambassadors and representatives and diplomats are the face of our country outside our country. We want to see that people who are able to articulate, issues of Kenya are able to our country. Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply. Thank you.
All the honorable members on their feet, take your seats. Kibarek, take the nearest seat. Thank you, honorable members. Let me now put the question at order number 8, which is that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations in its report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment as High Commissioners, Ambassadors, Permanent Representatives, and Consuls General, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 16th April 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 132(2)(e) of the Constitution, Section 22 of the Foreign Service Act 2021, Order, and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, this House, 1, approves the appointment of the following persons as A, High Commissioners: Ms. Catherine Kirumba Karemu, London, United Kingdom; Honorable Joash Adha Maangi, Kampala, Uganda; Honorable Lilian Tomitom, Lusaka, Zambia; Ms. Caroline Kamende Daoud, Ottawa, Canada; Lieutenant General Peter Mbogo Njiru, Islamabad, Pakistan. B, Ambassadors: Honorable Frederick Otieno Outa, Cairo, Egypt; Professor Anne Kisaka Nangulu, Dakar, Senegal; Mr. Timothy Kaluma Mcharo, Algiers, Algeria; Honorable Christopher Andrew Langat, Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire; Ms. Jessica Mudhoni Gakinya, Rabat, Morocco; Honorable Halima Yusuf Mucheke, The Hague, Netherlands; Mr. David Kiplangat Kerich, Washington, D.C., USA; Ms. Evelyn Mwenda Karisa, Havana, Cuba; Dr. Peter Mutuku Mathuki, Moscow, Russia; Ambassador Moi Lemoshira, Tokyo, Japan; Mr. Kenneth Milimo Nganga, Abu Dhabi, UAE; Lieutenant General Jonah Mwangi, Tehran, Iran; Mr. Abdi Aden Korio, Muscat, Oman. C, Permanent Representatives: Ms. Gertrude A. Nangote, United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, Ms. Grace Atieno Okara, United Nations Habitat, Dr. Fancy To, Ambassador Permanent Rep, Geneva, Mr. Ekitela Erastus Locale, United Nations, New York. D, Consuls General, Mr. Ezra Chiloba, Los Angeles, USA, Mr. Aden Mohammed, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Mr. David Iboko Lokemer, Dubai, UAE. 2, rejects the appointment of Mr. Charles Gidinji Keiru as Consul General, Goma, Democratic Republic of Congo, and resolves that henceforth Consul Generals should undergo vetting after nomination by the appointing authority as required by the Constitution, and that the appointing authority recalls any Consul General who is serving without requisite approval by the National Assembly to undergo the necessary approval process. As men as of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, thank you, Honorable Kajwang, for that comic relief. We need some comic relief sometimes. Honorable members, will now go back to order number 7. And Majority Leader, if your minister is within the presence of Parliament, you may call her in. We'll now go to questions. And today, we have the Cabinet Secretary for Health, the Honorable Susan Nahumicha. Yes. Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Order. Honorable members, on your feet, take your seats. Those conducting unlawful kamkunjis, order. Order. Those members who want to leave the chamber for whatever reason, do so quietly. We are now going into question time, and those who have a habit of constituting mini kamkunjis, please desist. We want to conduct business peacefully. Question time now. CS for Health, Susan Nahumicha, welcome to Parliament with your team. We'll now start with question number 009 of 2024, Member for Westlands, Timothy Wanyonyi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I ask question 009 of 2024, the Cabinet Secretary for Health. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain why the ministry is here to post medical interns who ought to have been posted in September 2023, noting that such a delay denies the affected graduates the opportunity to put into practice the theoretical skills gained? Question number 2, provide timelines to which the collective bargaining agreement signed in 2017 between the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union and the government will be fully implemented. And number 3, outline the steps being taken to resolve the recent disputes and end the strike to ensure uninterrupted health delivery. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speakers. Of 3,759 interns as at February 2024 for posting under the different cadres as indicated. We had 849 medical officer interns, 72 dentist interns, 289 pharmacist interns, 1,134 nursing degree interns, 145 degree clinical officer interns, and 1,270 clinical diploma interns. Of these that I have mentioned, 1,270 clinical officer diploma interns were posted and they have already reported in their placement centers. Another 1,210 medical officers, dental officers, and pharmacists have been posted, and their letters of posting have equally been shared on their emails, and they are expected to have reported starting the 15th of April, and the ministry has started taking stock from the internship centers to determine how many have so far reported. The ministry is now in the process of finalizing the process for posting the nursing 2,404 nursing and clinical degree interns, and they will start collecting their letters, and we have equally posted on their emails. They also ought to report starting the 15th of April, which has already passed. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I would like to note that, however, there was a delay in the posting of interns due to lack of budgetary allocations. In the financial year 2023-2024, the ministry was allocated a total of 3.6 billion to cater for internship program against a requirement of 5.7 billion. This resulted in a gap of 2 billion. This gap was considered during the supplementary estimate number 1 and was able to cater only for the 4,156 interns who were posted in July 2023. The ministry appealed to the National Treasury to provide funding of 4.8 billion to cater for the placement of the 3,759 interns through a letter dated 1st of February 2024. The National Treasury replied to the letter through a letter on the 13th of February, indicating that they were not in a position to provide requested funds and advised the ministry to rationalize the numbers and equally to review the internship policy with a view to accommodate more interns within the available budgetary provisions. Following the guidance from the National Treasury, the ministry wrote to the Salary and Remuneration Commission for guidance on how to rationalize that. The SRC responded by providing stipend rates to be payable to interns. With the rates from the SRC, the ministry wrote to the National Treasury and managed to secure 2.3 billion to post the 3,755 interns. It is on this rate that the interns I have indicated above have been posted. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, on the second part of the question, that the ministry provides timelines to which the collective bargaining agreement signed in 2017 between Kenya Medical Practitioner, Pharmacy and Dentist Union and the government will be fully implemented. Honorable Speaker and members, the collective bargaining agreement signed with KMPDU in 2017 continue to be implemented by the national government. The national government has so far undertaken the following to fulfill its obligations under the CBA. One, it has facilitated the payment of basic salary arrears accrued by the national government entities arising from the 2017-2021 CBA. And I would like to confirm that indeed the national government has actually even paid in excess, and there are some doctors who owe the national government some money. The national government has also provided grants and scholarship for eligible postgraduate medical officers based on immediate service needs basis. Equally, the national government has provided comprehensive medical insurance to the doctors at the national government level. In the financial year 2023-2024, the ministry posted 4,156 medical interns in July 2023 at a total cost of 4.3 billion. These interns are due to complete their internship in June 2024. Similarly, the ministry secured 2.3 billion to post the 3,759 medical interns according to the SRC advisory rates. However, there are challenges in implementation of some of the provisions, including the areas of internship. These challenges will be addressed in the new cycle of negotiations of the CBA, which is ongoing. It is also important to note that a good number of those aspects of the CBA need to be implemented by the county governments. The third question, Honorable Speaker and members, outlined the steps being taken to resolve the recent disputes and end the strike to ensure uninterrupted healthcare delivery. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the ministry is taking various steps and measures to resolve the ongoing strike. The measures being taken have been categorized into immediate and short-term, medium-term, and long-term. In the short-term and in the immediate, the ministry has posted all interns, and this posting was from 2nd of April based on the revised rest of SRC. All the interns ought to have reported to their internship center by the 15th of April. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I've said the ministry is in the process of collecting returns from the respective internship centers. In a few days, we shall be able to report on how many of these interns have actually reported. But we confirm in the affirmative that the clinical officer diploma interns have reported, and we have returns at the ministry. The ministry has also requested for 267 million for payment of postgraduate registrars' fees arrears. I stand to confirm, Honorable Speaker and members, that in this week, the ministry has received a confirmation from National Treasury of 200 million that will be given to the ministry to be able to pay these arrears. The ministry has also requested SRC to ask on the demand by the Kenya Union of Clinics to allowance from 3,000 shillings to 15,000 increase. So the ministry awaits for guidance. SRC we shall be bringing this into budget so that then once approved, we should be able to effect it. The ministry has also requested the Public Service Commission to review the clinical officers' career progression guidelines. The medical laboratory officers who have joined the doctor strike do have a recognition agreement with the government. They have written to them citing the criteria that is required for them to be recognized as a union, and we wait for them to return back, having met the criteria and the process of recognition. Those are under the immediate and short-term measures. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, under the medium-term measure, the Ministry of Health is reviewing the internship to address aspects of the program, including the need for students to transit to internship without any delay. The policy will be finalized this month of April. Members, that yesterday the ministry undertook internal stakeholder validation, and it went very well. And next week we shall be proceeding to external stakeholder validation to receive the comments of the external stakeholders. Honorable Speaker and members, the ministry is ongoing with the CBA negotiation. The 2017 CBA lapsed in 2021, and therefore we are in the process of negotiating on the new CBA to be signed. The ministry is also actively participating in the whole of nation approach discussion that were ordered by the judge of the Employment and Labor Relations Court. In the long-term measures, Honorable Speaker and members, the ministry is in the process of developing a comprehensive human resource for health policy to address all aspects of human resource in the country, in the entire spectrum of the value chain, from production, supply, internship and regulation of employment, retention of the health workers, distribution and stock density, skills and mix, including motivation and productivity of the human resource for health. The ministry also in the long term would want to operationalize the Kenya Health Human Resource Advisory Council to enable it to execute its mandate. This entails providing the necessary budget finalization of the human resource instruments in order to obtain the necessary skills and capacities to execute their mandates. Other measures that are being taken by the ministry is that the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, was appointed by the court and has appointed 3 conciliators to guide the parties to arrive at the dispute, and the process is ongoing, to arrive at a resolution, and the process is ongoing. The court also appointed the whole of nation approach, both levels of government and entities to the dispute with a view to seeking a solution to perennial issues in the health sector, and the process is ongoing. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I hereby submit. Thank you.
Yes, member for Westlands.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much, Waziri, for that elaborate answer to my question. However, I would like to seek clarification on a few issues. Considering the importance of maintaining stable healthcare system, what strategies are being implemented to prevent similar delays in disputes in the future, particularly regarding the implementation of agreements and timely placement of medical professionals? And the second clarification I need is, what strategies are in place to regulate the number of graduates from the medical schools in the country, and efforts for coordination that will ensure Ministry of Health is aware of expected interns before every budgeting cycle for adequate planning? Thank you.
Minister, you'll take several, having gotten from the questioner. I'll allow a couple of joyriders, starting with the member for Seme.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would have liked to do more than being a joyrider, but this, as we know, the whole week I've been trying that, but I'll take what is available. Mr. Speaker, the issue is that the interns have been posted. That's what we are told. But what we know, not all interns have reported. And then that brings to me the issue that I would like a clarification from the minister. When we use the word intern, who are we talking about? There are various cadres within the ministry, and they do different internship. Now, there are also generally in the country the term internship which is used in industry. Do we have a clear clarification of who these are? And why I ask that question, Mr. Speaker, is this. we have some interns who are now employed. Now we have interns who are now going to get stipends. If we understand it, the difference between somebody who is earning a salary and somebody who is given a stipend is that the person who is being given a stipend is not employed, but is being given some support. By definition, an intern is actually a doctor who is starting work. He or she has graduated, has taken the Hippocratic oath, has actually been given an interim license. And when they are on duty in hospitals where they are, the structure in those hospitals will normally be, there's amongst the doctors, there's a first on call, who is always the intern, there's a second on call, and there's a third on call. And at all these levels, people call on the next level if they reach their limit of ability. And many, many times, in many situations, interns will actually see patients right through to discharge and they go home. So when we are now talking of stipend, are we saying these people are not employed? So you will then have two, one on a full salary of what we are talking of 200,000 and one on the salary of 90,000, working side by side, doing the same thing. How will that work? And is that good for peace in the industry?
Because of your tremendous interest on the matter, can you now ask the question? You've been making a speech.
Mr. Speaker, all these are questions. When we talk of insurance, the minister said the insurance has been paid at national level. What that means is there are some doctors at county level that do not have an insurance. And that actually is the status. Why is it not that we use the coordination mechanisms within the government provided in the Constitution have similar conditions of work across, because that is provided for, and that is one of the reasons that is giving us problems. Mr. Speaker, the next one is the postgraduate doctor. And why I'm asking this question, this is a problem that has been there. It is in the strike now. I've said in our committee, and we have put this, and I want to ask the minister if this can help this country. Why is it that when we come for postgraduate, they are working in hospitals that are government hospitals, which are funded by government, and the work they are doing is full work? Why can't we, while funding those hospitals, create these positions which are paid for at that hospital, so that the counties don't have to pay them when they are actually working in Kenyatta? The counties can then use that money to employ doctors during that period they are away, because that is giving us a problem.
Last one.
The issue of, well, Mr. Speaker, I'll stop, but it means that I may still come on with my request of yesterday, because something I've not.
A whole 5 minutes to ask a question.
Now, recognition as members of the union goes back. Are we taking them as employees? Because if they are employees, then I think by rights they will have. So are they employees or are they not? I must add, Mr. Speaker, all over the world, medical interns are employees and they actually earn salaries. Even here in Kenya, there are private hospitals that are actually employing employing interns, paying them. So the question is important. Mr. Speaker, I have the interest of this country at heart, and therefore I know that is the last. But I want to make a suggestion which I think can help this country. This is not a question, it's a comment, and the minister can make a comment on it. The problem we are having is that we are saying that all interns can only be employed or must only be employed by the government, by the ministry. And we're limiting it. Why don't we put, and the minister will understand this, or her technical people, a regulation that all levels at which interns can work, and those are level 4 and 5, whether they are private or they are public, they create levels of position for interns by law. Because even when you start a hostel, you have a certain number of staff you should have. If we do that, Mr. Speaker, we'll open a large space for interns, and we shall not have this problem, and they do not have to be paid by the government. Today, Aga Khan as interns, they are paying. Karen as interns, they are paying. Tenwek as interns, they are paying. Kijabe as interns, they are paying. So we have to look at it broadly so that we actually can get rid of this problem that looks perennial of interns. Mr. Speaker, I may later on seek how to discuss this more, but for now, I'll leave it there.
Honorable members, I gave Honorable Nyikal that latitude because you know he had attempted to bring a motion of adjournment on this matter, and I assured him that I'll give him the latitude that I've extended to him. The rest of the joyriders, one question each. Mishimbogo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just want to put a question to our CS, and the question is about what is the gross salary and the net salary for the intern? Is it true that it was reduced by 91%? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We'll take more. Waziri, Junaid Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I would like to ask a supplementary question. First, I don't understand which law this whole government nation is anchored on. This concept of whole government approach, I don't know what it is. I know Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Health, that's beside the point, but the interns' salaries or stipend, whatever you want to call it, in the CBA was meant to be 206,000. That's what they are claiming. The ministry initially proposed 47,000, but later went to 70,000. I would like to know from the ministry, how did you come up with that figure of 70,000? What did you consider in coming up with those figures? Is it the cost of living? Is it the availability of funds? How did you come up that 70,000 is enough for interns? I would like to know.
Thank you. Yes, I'll give to Mama Zamzam.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Swali moja tu.
Namuuliza waziri, nilimsikia akisema kuwa amewapa madaktari mambo yao kutatuliwa mpaka Julai. Nataka nimuulize, kuna yule mama ambaye ni mjamzito na mtoto amefika wakati wake wa kuzaliwa, anahitaji daktari kumsaidia. Huyu mtoto yeye amempangia kitu gani na kwa nini ameondoa linda mama ambayo yasaidia kina mama? Asante.
Mwenje. Minister, record all those. I'll give you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, during this time where the doctors and the interns are on strike, I'd like the Cabinet Secretary to tell Kenyans directly, especially women who are expectant, where can they obtain services? This is an issue, Honorable Speaker. All members of parliament are being contacted by their constituents, and because of the shortage of doctors, what options do Kenyans have during this difficult time? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. John Badi. Mutauliza tu.
Thank you,
one
Mr. Speaker.
question each.
And I want to thank the Cabinet Secretary for a detailed answer or response to this question. But I just want to ask one straight question. The CS has indicated clearly that she has been asked by the Treasury to rationalize the budget of the ministry. What is the CS doing in that exercise of rationalization of the budget? Because a lot of money is spent on services which ordinarily should be devolved. Yet, important assignments for the national government, like this case of intern doctors, is given lip service. So what are you doing? Can you state to this House and to the people of Kenya specifically what you are doing in terms of rationalizing the budget of the ministry? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member next to Mishi, you are very far. I can't. That is a
Ken Chonga.
Ben Chonga.
Yes.
Yes, Mheshimiwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to know from Madam Waziri. She said that the CBA of 2017 expired and they're working on the current CBA. But what measure is the ministry taking to avert any more strikes? Because it is like before the doctors are given whatever they have agreed in the CBA, a strike might follow. And so many people are suffering, people are dying. There is total chaos in the history of the health industry. What measures is the ministry taking to ensure that we no longer undergo a similar situation again? Thank you.
TJ Kajwang. After that, Waziri, you can answer.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
we'll
Speaker.
do another round.
Mr. Speaker, you know, you and I, we have the misfortune of, we can only be patient, not like my brother here who can be a doctor. We can only be patient. But I pray that you and I, we do not go to hospital around this time when things are still not very stable. Mr. Speaker, my question is two. One, Madam Minister, are you lying to this House?
That is an parliamentary language. Withdraw.
Are you misleading this House? I withdraw. Are you misleading this House? Because the reason you came to this House, according to the question that was asked, was majorly to show us the level of implementation of the CBA. You have explained that you have implemented the CBA. In fact, you said that you have overpaid according to the CBA. But the truth, or what we have, the information we have from our constituents is different.
She said a few doctors have been overpaid.
Yes, a few doctors
not a general term.
have been overpaid.
Yes.
So the question about the implementation of the CBA, because if then the CBA is fully implemented, why would be doctors out there be continuing to be on strike, claiming that their monies have been withheld or have not been paid or have been underpaid by the ministry? So, Madam Minister, are you misleading the House? Now, that is question one. Number two.
Only one.
No, Mr. Speaker, if you'll just allow me, it's a very straightforward question. Very straightforward. Why are you not working on the return to work formula? Why are you insisting that you do not want to relate with the people that you have employed and discuss a return to work formula, that these people must go back to work first before they discuss with you a return to work formula, which they have shown you and which is reasonable and which has provisions on how both the employer and the employee must meet in terms of working on a return to work formula? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Minister, you can answer those. Again, we'll come back to you. There will be another round. Those are 9 questions. You can, they're short questions, answer them.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. On the first question on what is the strategy to ensure that this does not occur. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, in my earlier response, I did indicate that we do have immediate and short-term measures, we have medium-term measures, and we have long-term measures. The medium and long-term measures, Honorable Speaker and members, are to ensure that this does not occur. And this includes development of policies. The internship policy, Honorable Speaker, I have already said that our plan is to finalize by end of April. We have already done internal stakeholder validation. Next week, we shall be going to external stakeholder validation. And by the end of April, this policy shall be taken to Cabinet for consideration. And after that, it shall be brought to this House. Honorable Speaker and members, those are some of the strategies that we have put in place to ensure that this does not recur. Strategies to ensure coordination between the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health. During this crisis period, Honorable Speaker and members, we have met together with my colleague, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, and we have put together a joint committee that includes the Commissioner of University Education, the Kenya Medical Practitioner and Dentist Council, COOPS, that is the one that admits students, the universities. And we have given them a timeline of 1 month to be able to look through what is it that is required in terms of production, in terms of the available facilities for training, and what we need to do to ensure that then we are training enough numbers that we are able to cater for. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, many years ago, it was only one university that was training medical officers, medical doctors in this country. As we speak now, we have 8 universities, 5 of them public and 3 private. All these, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we have put them in the joint committee so that then we can find a solution that all the interns who come out of these universities, then we are able to absorb them for internship. From Honorable Nyikal, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, Honorable Nyikal is a member of the Health Committee, and on many occasions, I do refer to him on these matters. The issues that he has raised regarding the cadres that need internship. As a ministry, we have a total of 32 cadres, different cadres, all of them seeking recognition, all of them seeking to be paid for internship. But however, from this, only the medical officers, the pharmacists, the dentists, the degree nursing, degree clinical officer, and diploma clinical officers are the ones so far who enjoy stipends. So as the ministry works on the policy that we are working on, we will largely benefit from the wisdom of Honorable Nyikal on what we need to do in terms of recognizing the other cadres and also enhancing the cadres that are already getting the stipend. Medical insurance by national government recognizes all workers, all medical officers who work for national government. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, as we stand here, we very well know that those medical doctors who work for the national government, they work either at the ministry headquarters or they work in one of the referral facilities, the 6 referral facilities that we have. And those are the ones that I am confidently saying that the national government, through the Ministry of Health, has provided them with medical insurance. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I am not in a position to confirm whether counties have indeed given medical insurance to their medical officers. That can only be confirmed by themselves. But from this crisis that has been going, a number of them, 36 of them, have confirmed to have medical insurance. And those who do not have, they have been asked to ensure that they have medical insurance. Regarding the registrars, we are working on a policy, Honorable Speaker and members, a policy to ensure that there's direction from Ministry of Health, because even as we train registrars, we must train those skills that are required for the national, those skills that are required by the country. We do not want to train excess of one skill and leave out another. So that policy is under development. payment of interns. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we were directed and guided by SRC, which is the body that is constituted by the Constitution to be able to guide. And from the guideline, they said it cannot be a remuneration, it can only be a stipend. And that is how we have recognized it. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, from the question from Honorable Mishimboko, what is the gross salary of an intern and what is the net thereof and what has been offered? Initially, an intern was earning 206,000. This includes basic salary and other allowances. That comes to a net of 135,000. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, based on the advice from the SRC, it is now a stipend of 70,000 shillings. And Honorable Speaker and members, I would like to clarify that none of the interns who is in session has gotten a reduction. Of the interns in session that will be finishing or concluding their internship in June 2024, there is no reduction. It is the new interns who we are now posting that are going to get in under the terms of the stipend. From Honorable Junet, the issue of whole of nation approach. This was ordered by the Honorable Judge of the Employment and Labor Relations Court. That order is what brought us together. And the judge did guide on the membership of the whole of nation approach. And in respect and in compliance with the court order, that group under the whole of nation approach has been meeting to find solutions to this crisis headed by Head of Public Service. Honorable Speaker and members, Honorable Junet wanted to know how 70 was arrived at. This was a guideline by the SRC. They would be the best then to explain how 70,000 was arrived at as a stipend. But need to say that they did look at the other interns within the nation, and actually they did inform us that the other interns are getting 25,000, and therefore they considered this higher and gave them 70,000. From Honorable Zamzam on Linda Mama, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I would like to request, because there is a specific question on Linda Mama, I would like to request that I respond to it because it's a substantive question that I'll be responding to later. Honorable Speaker, from Honorable Mwenje, he asked about expectant mothers and where do they go at this time of a crisis. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I would like to appreciate Honorable Mwenje that despite him being a man, he is caring for the women. And for me as a woman, this is personal to me. As we speak now, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we have levels of service in the Ministry of Health. We have level 2, which are dispensaries, closest to the people within the villages. Services are ongoing. We have level 3, which are health centers, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. Services are ongoing in those places. Where we are affected most by this crisis is level 4, level 5, and level 6, which are referral hospitals. But we have put measures in place to ensure that emergency services are being attended to. Last week, when I did a tour of Kenyatta National Hospital, the maternity was full. Actually, all the expectant women around Nairobi are now in Kenyatta National Hospital being attended there. So we really have to see that the ministry has put in some effort. And I also want to thank Honorable Speaker and honorable members that despite this crisis, we have very patriotic doctors who are working. We have been able to fill some of the gaps with those doctors who have been able to continue providing services. And I want to thank them tremendously for continuing to provide services to Kenyans. What have we done on rationalization? Honorable Speaker and honorable members, after the SRC guidelines.
United, what's the point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether you listened keenly to the Honorable Minister. The Honorable Minister, Mr. Speaker, has put up a very rosy picture that hospitals are working, Kenyatta Hospital is full, doctors are working, level 4, level 2, level 2. Mr. Speaker, that is not the situation on the ground. Madam Minister, people, there are no hospitals that are working. There are no wards that are full, Madam Minister. We are the people who are from the ground. Just say you are working on how to rectify the matter, but But as of now, even the maternity that is full in Kenyatta Hospital, mothers are delivering on their own, or maybe with the help of few nurses.
Go on, Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. Level 2 dispensaries are manned by nurses. We have over 9,000 dispensaries in the country, and they are functional. Level 3 facilities are manned by nurses and clinical officers, and most of them are functional. I did acknowledge that indeed we have a problem at level 4, level 5, and level 6. But I say emergency services are being offered. And I just gave an experience of my walkthrough of Kenyatta National Hospital last week. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, on what the ministry has done in rationalizing, after we received the guidelines from the SRC, we, the ministry, met with the National Treasury on 2 occasions. And that is how we got to get 2.3 billion to be able to post the current interns. We have also been getting the numbers that are in the pipeline in the training institutions, so that then we plan ahead through the budgeting process to ensure that then they are taken care of. The other question, Honorable Speaker and members, is what is the ministry doing to ensure that this does not recur? And I would like to reiterate, Mr. Honorable Speaker, that through the medium-term, long-term position that I had raised earlier, we believe that the ministry will be able to resolve this, and this does not recur. However, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I would like to thank members of this House that the ministry brought to this House 4 acts, and they were able to be processed. One of the outcomes of those 4 acts is the Social Health Insurance Act. The Social Health Insurance Act, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, as we sit here today, less than 20% of Kenyans have some form of medical insurance. So what we intend to achieve with the Social Health Insurance Act is to drive those numbers up and ensure as many as possible. Our target is to get at least 80% of Kenyans to be on insurance. And once resources are raised through the Social Health Insurance Act, we want to believe that we'll be able to take care of commodities, take care of equipments, and take care of the most important pillar of universal health coverage, which is the human resource for health. Honorable Speaker, the question from Honorable Kajwang about the CBA. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we cannot live in denial. We have 2 levels of government, the national government and the county governments. A collective bargaining agreement is a document signed between an employer and an employee. The ones that I spoke about, the CBA progress that has been made by the national government, is for those employees who are for national government. And therefore, I can authoritatively say that as the national government, we have managed to implement some of the things asked for in the CBA. Therefore, the relationship between the employer, who is county government, and the doctors then should be managed as such between the county governments and the employees. The issue of return to work formula. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, this matter went to the court, and the honorable judge ordered that the doctors should suspend their strike and give negotiation a chance. And they did order that then discussions should continue under the whole of nation approach to this matter.